Welcome everyone back to another Broker to Broker podcast. My name is Marc Summers. I am the broker owner of Priority Mortgage Lending, along with being the president of membership over here at AIM, which I'm very, very proud to say. Today, really excited about today. I'm always excited about all these podcasts, but that's okay. But really excited about today. I actually just went out to their event. It was absolutely awesome. But today I'm going to be interviewing the founder and CEO. His name is Joseph Shalaby, and then the president and CEO of eMortgage Capital, Sam Hijazin. Sam and Joseph, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Marc.
Thanks for having us, Marc.
No problem. We're going to hop right into this because I know you guys have a lot to say. I know you guys do things the right way. You guys have always been supportive of AIM. So we're going to hop right into this. I want people to learn more about you, learn about how you guys have grown your business, how you scale your business, the culture around it. So let's hop right into it. So Joseph, I'm going to start out with you being the founder. Tell me your mortgage background. How did you get started in this industry?
I started in this industry right out of college. I was 20 years old. I was basically seeking to go into academia after college. I wanted to be a PhD and I wanted to study sociology and kind of stay in the Santa Barbara lifestyle. And a friend of mine introduced me to the mortgage industry, and I was like, I just want to get it. I want to become a PhD postdoc and live the Santa Barbara life. What happened was a sequence of events where Santa Barbara doesn't let you go to grad school at UCSB. They make you leave and then come back. So I kind of got stuck having to go to Cal State Fullerton for a master's program, and then I didn't want to go back to Santa Barbara after that. I landed in the mortgage industry right after my departure from Santa Barbara, and gave up on the academia venture. And pretty smart move because a PhD in sociology makes like 60, 70K a year. I would have been a bum probably. Thank God, I could have went the other way and been a famous author. Who knows? But
right.
I landed in the mortgage industry because it gave me an opportunity to seek a life of service and serving my clients and serving people who work within the organization. So a friend of mine introduced me to the mortgage industry. He lured me in with the financial benefits, but I quickly realized that there was a lot more to it. So I started at about 20 years old in the industry. I started in the broker channel. So unlike a lot of folks who started in the retail channel, I started meeting the broker channel. Now that was not to my benefit because there was a lot of disorganization at that time, and I didn't make a paycheck for like 6 months. So so it wasn't that a benefit, but I learned a lot, and I learned how to grind. I learned how to generate leads, and there was no technology, there was no CRMs, there was nothing. There was just like a phone book. So I just I learned. I had a grit mindset from the beginning. So it took literally 6 months to make $1,000 commission, and then from there it was all uphill after that. It was all downhill after that. I started to really kind of understand the broker model, and then I became a broker at about 22 years old. So and I opened my own mortgage company in 2005, and then obviously the crash happened. I stayed in the mortgage sector, but I always stayed as an independent, always stayed as a mortgage broker, always had the entrepreneur spirit. So
that's why you and I get along so well, because I've been only in the wholesale channel side. Only on the broker side. Never did retail. So I got lured in kind of the same way you did, but I'm glad I got lured in.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a benefit. Yeah, there's pros and cons. It would have been better to start in retail. I would have had a consistent paycheck, but thank God things worked out this way.
Yeah. So when you started your broker shop when you were 22, was that eMortgage Capital, or was that later?
No. I started another company called Primetime Financial Consultants, kind of with the same vision. So eMortgage Capital, the idea behind us is everything mortgage, everything capital. I always had this vision to provide much more to my clients than just a traditional mortgage opportunity. So when I started my first mortgage company, it was like, hey, I'm going to be full-fledged financial services, right? Full-fledged financial consulting. And that ideology still stuck with this model. We just kind of refined that idea, and improved upon it, and rebranded, renamed.
That's awesome.
But it
Absolutely
was called
awesome.
Primetime Financial Consultants. Was my first company.
Great. So Sam, how did you get started in the industry, and then when did you come over to eMortgage?
You mentioned a minute ago that you were at our sales event a couple of weeks back, Mark. I think in my
Yes.
opening remark, I asked that question of all the salespeople, show of hands, how many of us, plan on being a loan advisor, loan originator growing up? I don't think a single hand in the room went up. So we've all had our
You
unique
have to
journey.
you have to be born into it, family. Like that's the only way I have found out.
Yeah, so we've all had our kind of unique journey. Mine was purely accidental. So, I went to school to be an engineer, and I was lucky to have landed a job even before graduating. So, I was an engineer by trade for about a year, and I always joke I had a midlife crisis before I was 22 years of age because I completely hated what I did, and I think I lasted, something like 11 months before I made the transition. And it was purely accidental. I had a friend who made an introduction to an attorney that we knew, a mutual friend who was starting a mortgage company back in the early 2000s. And he took me under his wing, kind of showed me the ropes, and I just kind of ran with it. But, it was purely accidental. It wasn't something I was planning on doing. It was something that I thought was going to be just a bridge until I figured out what it is that I wanted in life. But, I really enjoy doing what I do. I love the people aspect of it, and, being able to meet new people and helping them with, one of the most important financial decisions in their life. But yeah, it's been just a hair above 20 years. Time's flown by, but not a single day goes by when I don't, thank God for, that introduction, because it was, like, again, it wasn't something that was planned. It was purely accidental.
Okay, Sam. So how did you get linked up with eMortgage?
So Joe and I, a lot of people don't know, we've been friends since we were 14. We actually went to high school together. So, we've worked together in the past. We kind of each had our own vision of how we wanted to, build a company. He started eMortgage Capital and, was the broker. I actually had another previous company, and I was a delegated lender. So, we kind of came together around the time of the pandemic. eMortgage was kind of testing the waters with the correspondent channel, but they didn't have a lot of experience, in that space. And so, one night, we were having dinner, and we kind of threw around the idea of, joining forces and kind of focusing on different aspects of the business and growing it to what it is today. And, I'm glad that we made that decision to kind of, join forces. But that was just short of 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Oh,
truth be
perfect,
told,
perfect.
so
Yeah, no.
I came to Sam during the pandemic, and I said, listen, it's a crazy time. Lenders froze their warehouse lines, and things really tightened up. And I was like, you are a banker, you're an underwriter, you understand how to move these loans off the warehouse lines quickly. You know how to put processes and procedures in place to really create an incredible funding platform. And I wanted a very seamless banking platform for my branches, because banking loans was the way that I was selling. That was the way I was originating business, and that was the way that I adapted my personal model. So, I went to Sam and said, listen, you and I because I'm a sales guy and he's an operations guy, collectively can create an incredible platform, because I have my skill set, he has his skill set, and we're totally different. He's like, he really is like my work wife, right? Like, and matter of fact, it's so true that like him and my wife are like best friends because they have the same issues with me. So,
Love that.
yeah, but
No, that's
but
good. That's good. That's good that you guys linked up, and I mean, you guys are crushing it. I mean, you guys have grown, pretty big here over the last few years. I mean, was that the mission the entire time? Was growth that way, or did it just kind of happen organically?
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, personally speaking, I don't think that was our primary goal, but at the same time, I'm not really surprised that it happened. I think we have something really special here. We have a pretty good, group of people. We have a pretty good culture going. So, I'm not really focused on the number, but just like Joe alluded to earlier, we're more interested in having the right type of people and less about the size of the roster. I'm happy with who we have. I think we have a good group of people. I know it's challenging right now for a lot of folks industry wide, but I think we have a decent group of loan officers, a decent culture. So I'm not really surprised that we've gotten as big as we have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, with that being said, like how I'm trying to figure out how to say this. When you grow like that, I mean, sometimes it kind of falls in your lap. Sometimes you have to work for it. What are the biggest challenges when you guys have, the shop that you have and the size that you have and the amount of volume that you have? What I mean, I know you have to have processes and procedures in place, and Sam, that seems like that's up your alley. You know what I mean? But what are the challenges that come across with that?
Well, I mean, it's basic math, right? The more people you have, the more questions and the more time you need, to be able to commit to servicing them. So that's been the biggest challenge for me because, you know, by design, what we realized a long time ago is that for the company to grow and be successful, and the approach that we've taken is to try to help our existing teams grow. So we try to identify leaders within the organization, and when we recruit and bring people on board, we try to put them underneath those leaders, simply because there's only so many hours in the day, right? So once somebody is acclimated and part of the system, having people put under them is a lot more efficient way to grow than to bring in, 200 or 300 independent lone wolves that, don't belong on a team, don't have any support. And, by design, if there's nobody there for them to go to or reach out to for help, who's the first person they're gonna reach out to? It's either Joe or myself. And we're here and we answer the questions and we help them. I was actually telling Joe, I was here until about 10 o'clock last night because I hate leaving for the day without answering all of my emails, getting to all of my voicemails. And so, there's only so many hours in the day. And so that's been our biggest challenge is how do we support so many people? And so having, placing people under the right leadership has been one of the ways that we've been able to grow. It's a lot easier to deal with, 100 leaders than it is to deal with 650 different individuals.
Right.
Also, I
Right.
want to add,
So
the safeguards, we wanted to put enough safeguards in place to manage all these people. So what we've done is, we're always seeking more compliance protocols to make sure that everyone's protected. Because as you get to this, as you become as big as we are, and everyone's decentralized and there's not enough safeguards in place, there's growing pains associated with that. So our idea here is, continue to innovate in terms of compliance, add as many safeguards to protect everybody, and put the correct policies to not hinder people's business. Because if you put too many safeguards in place, then you could really hurt someone's business. So there's a balancing act with managing this many loan officers, putting the right procedures in place, putting the right safeguards in place, and making sure that you don't hinder anyone's business as a result. So there is always that balancing act per se.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, hell, you guys are doing it pretty darn good. I'll give you that much. So, I have, I'm going to call it a little shop. You know what I mean? 11 loan officers, nothing too crazy. Probably 3 or 4 that really, really produce. When I bring on more people, I get anxious. You know what I mean? I know we have a lot of support with our lenders and vendor partners that we have, but how do you guys balance all your system and processes? Like what, if you don't mind me asking, like what systems do you guys use? Because I'm sure that all of your loan officers are not in one location, correct?
Correct. They're all decentralized. We have, a dozen or so loan officers here at our headquarters facility in Irvine. But yeah, we have 24 brick and mortar locations registered with the NMLS. And then most people are working from home. But we don't dictate which tech stack that people use. We make suggestions. We give them a set of technology to utilize as well. But it's your standard stuff, right? We're heavily integrated with UWM's banking channel. So everyone's using obviously a UWM system for the correspondent side. But here internally, we provide the LOS, and then we give them a CRM, but we also give them options to some technology as well, where we have incredible discounts with. So again, we're always kind of innovating and exploring and piloting different technology here. The headquarters sales team exists for the purpose of just piloting marketing ideas, piloting different technology, piloting different automations that I personally know work, so I can roll them out organization wide. So when it comes to the systems that we use, we're using, several different systems, and we're always, one thing I learned from Matt Ishbia, he says, you show me something better today, I'll change everything tomorrow. And that's kind of the idea with some of the technology we have here. We see something and we know it works, as long as it's not too clunky or too difficult to use. Then we roll it out. One of our biggest struggles, though, is going to be adoption for different technology, right? So that's something we're always working on, is people adopting the technology that we're rolling out and utilizing it correctly, because we know that it works. We're piloting it here. We know that it's converting. So the adoption is some of the most difficult things that we have to face as an organization, especially when it comes to technology, especially because people are so used to the technology that they're using now.
Right.
We've gotten to a point.
It's
Mark,
hard. It's hard getting them out of that normal. Oh, this is what I've done every day for the last few years. You have something that's better. It's just they don't understand it, or they're not willing to adopt it. But no, technology is a huge thing for us, and I'm glad that you guys are trying to get continue to get better. And Sam, you had something you wanted to say there.
Yeah, I mean, the company has grown dramatically over the past couple of years, and we've gotten to a point where we had to create departments that specialize in certain parts of the business. So, for example, QC, right? Every file goes through a QC process. We have a dedicated person. That's all they do. We run payroll on a daily basis, where we had one person that was kind of doing payroll and some other tasks. Now we have a full payroll department and 3 people dedicated to just paying our loan officers on a daily basis. So we've tied our QC process to the payroll process, where that didn't exist 2 years ago. So having dedicated people in place. We also, we had some people that were, myself included, that was wearing multiple hats. And one of those hats was being the compliance person. And so, again, I alluded to the time constraints earlier. If somebody has a question regarding, a marketing campaign or a flyer or something that they want to put out, but it's got to go through a compliance audit, which, we require. Unless you're turning it around quickly, it's hard for people to play ball and to do what you want them to do. So, we've had to create a compliance department and a dedicated person that's focused just simply on that. So we've gotten to a scale where it's very difficult for somebody to wear multiple hats. You have certain people in place focused on certain things, and that's definitely helped. But yeah, it's a challenge, regardless of, the infrastructure that's in place today that didn't exist 2 years ago. Considering the amount of people that we have, it's still a challenge.
I bet. And then my other question with the setup that you guys have is, what training resources do you use? I mean, like, how do you offer anything? Is it a weekly call? Because with all these new products coming out, just because of the economy and whatnot, like, how do you guys get this across everyone? What training tools do you use?
So here's, let me, and then Sam can piggyback on this, but we have a daily curriculum. One of the things we pride ourselves in is all of the resources that we give to our branches. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you kind of like my curriculum. On Mondays, we do something called fundamentals, which is basically like an onboarding session. Tuesdays, we do mortgage coaching. So in 10 minutes, we have mortgage coaching starting, where we're covering maximizing the opportunity for the holidays. So we have a professional mortgage coach comes every Tuesday and coaches our organization. Wednesdays, we do a spotlight with either a vendor or lender. Thursdays, we're doing a marketing mechanics workshop with a marketing vendor. And Fridays, we do a masterminds. Also on Thursdays, we do a sales training with UWM. And I do a webinar also on Thursdays. And then Tuesday, today, we're starting a new best practices workshop with one of our tech providers. So, to help with the adoption rate. So every single day, there's something to help our branches get better. And I'm pushing this on our branches every day. And then we're uploading these workshops, these trainings to our YouTube channel. So we're very hands-on with helping these branches improve. They are independent. And one of the things we pride ourselves in, and Sam says this all the time, is like, even though you're independent within this organization, you don't feel like you're independent. You're a part of something much bigger than you by yourself. because of, eMortgage Capital prides itself, one of our pillars is community, right? The whole company is one big community. We're always helping each other get better. There's a lot of exchanges on our Microsoft Teams channels, on our sales channels, so people can exchange ideas and best practices on our Microsoft Teams. We have our daily exchanges on our Zoom meetings. So, 1 or 2 Zoom meetings a day that are available for an hour. That's more interaction than you're getting even if you work at an organization. So when it comes to support and infrastructure and resources, like that's something we pride ourselves, and that's something we're always innovating on, and we're always adding to. We're never taking away. So the curriculum that we have in place right now, that's there to stay. And all we're going to do is add to that curriculum even more. Like if you're not getting educated every single day and growing with the market, learning new products, learning new technology, learning new marketing strategies, you're not going to be able to keep up, especially with guys here who have those competitive resources. And we open that up, like we're not, Mark, if you wanted to attend any of those, like let us know. I'll put you on the calendar, and if you got some free time, jump in. I'm in those meetings. I'm learning a lot. Sam's in those meetings. He's learning a lot. I'm learning every single day. I wish I got credits for those, but unfortunately, I don't have to.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a full-time job in itself. I mean, just setting all that stuff up and giving all the resources possible. I mean, that's absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah, it is. We pride ourselves, and then the beautiful thing is, we don't charge for anything. Like our motto is free 99. It's like we don't run a hyper profitable model like other organizations, because we want to give it all back to our branches and our independent agents. And the idea for us is we're in it for the long haul. This is a long-term play for us. This is like years down the road, we will reap the rewards of what we are planting now. And that's the idea for us. It's like, we may never see them, who knows? But right now we're heavily investing in our branches. We're giving, the compensation is the most aggressive, and we're trying to do everything we possibly can to support our branches. Sam, you want to add anything to that? Sam's also so hands-on with these guys, right?
Yeah, I think you touched on all the things that I would want to highlight. So the mortgage mastery sessions, I mean, they cover a host of topics, everything from war tracks and how to overcome objections and resistance from a consumer, how to approach and create referral partnerships, the marketing mechanics meetings every week. I mean, I attend and I learn something new. And then in addition to that, what we do is we have a marketing calendar for all the loan officers. We encourage every loan officer to put out content, personalized content, but if they don't, then they can participate. We basically get their social media credentials and we post things on their behalf. So there's constantly stuff being put out to help them stay engaged with their sphere of influence. And that's a cost that we bear, and we're happy to do it. And then in addition to that, we also have a weekly, the same individual that is in charge of our onboarding, we keep track of all the questions that people have for us, and we make those into topics. So if we notice a recurring theme of people calling in regarding a certain topic, whatever it is, then we'll make curriculum for it, and we'll host a Zoom meeting, and we'll say for everybody that is confused about X, Y, or Z, now's the time to call in, and we'll participate, and we'll engage with them that way. And just like Joe said, the internal Teams chat is something that we created early in the year, and I'm very proud of it. And a lot of people follow the same mindset that Joe and I have, which is to kind of, that not that scarcity mentality, but that mentality of abundance, sharing your wins for the day, sharing things that are working for you with other people within the organization. So that collaboration is really what makes this company special. So all of those things combined, I think are, things that we're really proud of having put together.
Not only that, but we're very hands-on with helping these guys market. Like, we have a full marketing department. Like, we just rolled out, we're doing all people's video edits for them. We'll do their all their posts, their flyers for open houses, their PowerPoints for lunch and learns. Like, whatever it is when it comes to marketing, whether it's data aggregation, whether it's working with call centers, whether it's direct mail partnerships, whatever it is, like, I'm big into marketing. I'm big into lead generation, and I'm always innovating on that front. And that's really a differentiator for us, because a lot of companies are like, they don't pride themselves in marketing. Like, I'm a big marketer. So I'm very hands-on with helping our branches when it comes to lead generation, drumming up business, creating realtor relationships, reaching out to realtor partners or financial planners or wealth managers. And now after your message, and we're gonna counter this with you. You're gonna do a spotlight to teach our guys to do B2B relationships, right? Because that's another market that they could leverage, especially with all the automations we have in place to create those relationships. So it's one thing to be the best price solution in town, which we are the best branch solution in the industry in terms of pricing, but it's not just pricing. It's all of the additional resources that we have in addition to that, right? The banking platform, the marketing support, the infrastructure support, the HR, the IT, the legal, the compliance, everything, the collective package that we give our branches is best in class, hands down. There's nobody else. Everybody that we partner with recommends their people to come here first and foremost. So this is a best in class solution.
Well, hell, it definitely sounds like it. You guys have you created something. I have my own little shop in Michigan, and I have AIM. I'm good. I know you are.
Listen, if you want other states, we got you.
I love it. It's flattering. When you see all this, you guys obviously have a lot of this nailed down and doing things that I haven't seen in the industry before. And you take a lot of pride in it. You show a lot of energy, which is absolutely amazing. But with the size that you guys are at, how do you keep your mindset and culture right? That's got to be one of the most difficult things there, because I know for a fact when my loan officers are not around me or I'm not engaging with them all the time, and I know you guys do your training, but like they can kind of go off on their own, and then it's kind of like a no turning back. So how do you guys keep your mindset and culture right over there at your shop?
So there's a saying, I think it's you don't decide your future, you decide your habits, and your habits decide your future, right? So it's just getting them in the habit of taking part in the things that we put out to stay engaged, because everybody's motivation tank is going to run low, right? I think I mentioned it during our sales event a couple of weeks back. It's very difficult for somebody to be rah and motivated 24/7. So the best cure for that is to have habits in place, to have certain what's the point I'm trying to make? So to have habits in place that you follow every day, and those habits will lead to success. You can't just rely on motivation. You're not going to be motivated all day, all night long. So having those habits in place, I think will substitute for when that motivation is running low.
And
I love that. I've never heard that before. I like that a lot.
We try to stay engaged with these guys every single day. We're trying to touch our branches, our loan officers, as many times as possible, whether it's like daily emails from me or daily emails from Sam or social posts or, the daily interactions. Like I'm on all these meetings trying to keep people's mind, because you're right. Right now in this market, a lot of people are discouraged. So how do we motivate people when, they're independent? It's something that we're always trying to solve. It's a riddle that we're trying to solve every single day, day in and day out. And we're trying to be as hands-on as possible. The most you can do, it's like a parent's love, is just love them as much as possible, right? Like as if we truly exemplify a loving leadership mentality, a servitude mentality for our branches. We serve them with all of our heart, all of our might, all of our soul. We serve every single person at this organization, and the people who work within this organization, they know it. Our retention is 100%. When pretty much we don't lose people who come here. You have hundreds and hundreds of loan officers. They stay here. If they're going to stay in the independent channel, they stay. We've had people leave because they've taken jobs elsewhere, and then they come right back. They're like, you know what, this was the best of the best. If they even try something else, they come back. So the most you can do is to show that love, exemplify that love, and be a servant leader from the bottom of your heart. Not just like, hey, I'm gonna just be a servant, and just because that's what I heard on a podcast today. No, like actually exemplify love. You can't pretend to love somebody. You can't, caring is something that's from the heart. You can't fake care. You can't like verbally say you care, right? You have to show it. You have to do it. You have to be there for your branches. Everybody knows they email me. they get a response right back within minutes. They text me, I'm immediately responding back. Sometimes phone calls are tough because I'll be on a podcast or be doing this or whatever it is. Like I can't get to everybody on a phone call, but I'm like a ninja when it comes to emailing back, texting back. Same with Sam. So we really try to exude that mentality of love and servitude and doing everything we possibly can to go above and beyond for those within this organization, whether it's a loan officer or a processor or, someone in operations here or a funder or whatever it is. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we go above and beyond to help people within this organization.
Yeah, our attitude, I mean, and if I can just, put it differently in different words, if you don't give anything, you can't expect anything in return. So we try to give as much as we can of ourselves and our resources, and that's been able to help with retention quite a bit.
That's absolutely amazing. I love that. Like when you can be a servant and you truly care about your employees, and you put your employees, loan officers, team members, whatever you want to call them first, and they can truly feel it and know it. I mean, that's how you create a culture right there where it's truly a team effort. I absolutely love that. That's Joe. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I just want to let everyone know I got one more question for these guys. All right. So in all fairness, I met both of these at Fuse, which as we're recording this a couple months ago, right? I met both of you. It was an absolute pleasure. I was like right away. I'm like, I need to get these guys on a podcast right away. If you can, real quick, less than a minute each of you, tell me what was your favorite part about Fuse? It doesn't even have to be a person. It doesn't have to be anything. Was it the culture? Was it party? I don't care. I just want to know.
My favorite part is always the networking. I mean, the amount of people that you get to meet within this organization that are of the same mindset was electric. Now, this Fuse in comparison to last Fuse was much better. And here's why. This Fuse, you really got to see who people really are. Last year, money kind of interrupted people's genuineness. This year, people were so much more genuine. And, the humility was really like much more prevalent this year in comparison to last year. So, you created and forged new relationships, better relationships, more networking, and got to see the true spirit of the people that you met. So the Fuse this year, and I hope that people remember this year, and when the rush comes in 2023 or 2024, whenever it is, and it's raining money again, we preserve that humility mindset that we had at Fuse this year, because that's what allowed all of us to have such an incredible year at Fuse. This was the best Fuse we ever had, and it was because people just were so much more genuine than they'd ever been at any Fuse comparatively, because it's just, unfortunately, money reigns on people's mindsets, and when you have like these humbling experiences, they really show what your character can be. And let's all remember this, 2022 as a year that made us better humans.
I'm gonna steal some of that, Joe. I'm not gonna lie. I'm taking excerpts of that and stealing some of that. Sam, what was your favorite part?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to second, basically second what Joe's saying. Being able to meet a lot of people within the space. I don't refer to them as competitors, but colleagues. And so being able to network and talk to a lot of folks and, see what they're doing, what's working for them, what's not, some of the pains that they're going through, and being able to share and collaborate. I've actually made a few contacts, and, I've been communicating with them on a regular basis. So that's always my favorite part of these events. I'm not really I don't really go to a lot of these events, but Fuse is the one that I make it a point to go to every year. I always, learn, there's always some sort of takeaway. And there's, and having met you, for example, Mark, prior to that event, I don't think, I'd ever met you before. And so, being able to network and make new friendships and alliances, that's always the best part of these events.
Well, yeah, it was absolutely a pleasure meeting you guys there, and I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate your attendance and bringing out a lot of your team. So it was great. So listen, guys, you guys have been more than gracious with your time. I completely appreciate this. I'm telling I'm going to brag about this podcast. You guys, they got to listen. They got to listen. Like I love a lot of the things you guys said just are just so important, where we're not competitors, we're colleagues. I mean, I could go on and on with so many takeaways from this one. So personally, for myself and the entire A team, I just want to thank you guys for your time today.
And I want to close with one. Let's all remember this broker community. One thing we're doing within some of the committees we have within the AIM committees is, we're serving each other. We as leaders have to continue to serve each other and help each other through these times. And remember this, to have an abundance mindset after, this podcast or after Fuse. Like, guys, we're here to serve each other. We're here to help each other. We're here to help each other dominate, not just like win a little bit or get through these tough times, but actually win together as a community. And that's the importance of this AIM community. And I want to, make sure people who are listening to this realize the importance of serving your other broker competitors. These are people you have to serve regardless. And that's what we're doing within the AIM community. We're getting together, sharing best practices as other owners of big mortgage companies, right? The top 5 mortgage companies. We at Nexa, C2, Barrett, eMortgage, us 5 owners are all getting together for a summit. And we're going to share, again, best practices and ideas. So, it's important to serve each other, especially in leadership positions. So I just want to
I can close on that. I can definitely close on that. That's not an issue with me. So guys, once again, thank you. And brokers, if you want to get caught up on all of our past podcast episodes, please head over to aimgroup.com/broker-to-broker. You can also listen to all the Broker to Broker podcast episodes on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere else you can grab a podcast. Do me a favor, rate it, review it, subscribe to it. It helps us get the podcast out there and spread the word that brokers are better. And you two definitely are one. And I appreciate your time today.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
Appreciate you.
God bless. Have a good one.